The Illuminati, founded on May 1st, 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law at the University of Ingolstadt in Bavaria, the Illuminati was one of history's most influential secret societies built on a radical premise that the Catholic Church and European monarchies had too much control over public life, and that a network of educated freethinkers working in secret could dismantle that control from the inside. Weishaupt recruited scientists, philosophers, politicians, and aristocrats across Europe, and within 9 years the organization had grown to somewhere between 650 and 2,500 members, depending on the source. Members operated under code names. Weishaupt called himself Spartacus, and were organized in a cell structure where most members never knew who else was in the network. In 1785, the Bavarian government discovered the society's existence through a raided document cache, declared it a threat to the state, and banned it entirely. Weishaupt was exiled, the organization dissolved, and by any historical measure, the Illuminati ceased to exist. What didn't cease was the idea, because the suppression itself created the mythology, and that mythology has grown for over 2 centuries into the most referenced secret society in the world. Skull and Bones. In 1832, a group of Yale seniors founded a secret society so exclusive that it selects exactly 15 new members per year and has never expanded that number in nearly 200 years of existence. Among the confirmed members of Skull and Bones are former Presidents George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, Senator John Kerry, former Secretary of State John Kerry, multiple CIA directors, prominent Supreme Court justices, and some of the most powerful bankers and lawyers in American history. The society operates from a stone building in New Haven called The Tomb, which has no windows and no publicly disclosed interior. Members are instructed never to confirm or deny their membership, and for most of the organization's history, they never did. What the initiation process involves has only become partially known through defectors and security breaches, and what they described is this: new members called Knights are required to lie down inside an open coffin and confess their complete sexual history aloud in front of the assembled group. Every member goes through this. That includes 2 presidents of the United States. The logic is that the shared vulnerability creates a bond that can never be broken, and that the confessions become permanent leverage held by the group over each member for life. The Freemasons. Freemasonry is the oldest, largest, and most scrutinized fraternal secret society in the world, with an estimated 6 million active members operating in lodges across nearly every country on Earth. Its origins trace to the stonemason guilds of medieval England, where craftsmen who traveled between building sites used secret handshakes and passwords to identify themselves to lodge masters and prove their skill level without carrying documentation. When operative stonemasonry declined, the guild structures were preserved and eventually opened to non-craftsmen who were drawn to the philosophical and ritualistic traditions, creating what became known as speculative Freemasonry. Members progressed through degree levels, entered apprentice, fellowcraft, and master mason, with each level revealing new rituals, symbols, and teachings that are sworn never to be shared outside the lodge. At the Master Mason degree, the initiate undergoes a symbolic death and resurrection ceremony representing the murder of the architect Hiram Abiff. The Catholic Church has formally condemned and banned Freemasonry at least 8 times since 1738, and throughout history Freemasonry has been outlawed under Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, and Franco. Despite this, the organization operates openly in most Western countries today and insists that it is a charitable brotherhood with no political ambitions. Whether that is the complete picture remains a subject of serious historical debate. The Knights Templar, the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, known to history as the Knights Templar, were founded in Jerusalem in 1119 by a French knight named Hugues de Payens for the stated purpose of protecting Christian pilgrims traveling through the Holy Land. What they became over the next 2 centuries was something far more powerful than a military escort service. The Templars developed the first international banking network, issuing paper letters of credit so that pilgrims could deposit money in one country and withdraw it in another without carrying gold through dangerous territory. They accumulated enormous land holdings, operated their own fleet of ships, and at their peak were effectively beyond the law of any European monarch. That made them dangerous. In October 1307, King Philip IV of France, who owed the Templars a debt he had no intention of repaying, arranged for sealed orders to be delivered simultaneously to every French official in the country, with instructions not to open them until the morning of Friday, October 13th. On that date, every Templar in France was arrested at the same moment. Members were tortured into confessing heresies, including spitting on the cross and worshipping a demon called Baphomet. The Grand Master Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake in 1314. The fact that every Friday the 13th is considered an unlucky day traces directly to that morning in 1307, when the most powerful secret society in the medieval world was destroyed in a single coordinated operation ordered by a king who owed them money. Bohemian Grove. Since 1878, a private campground in the Monte Rio redwood forest of Northern California has hosted a 2-week annual gathering of some of the most powerful men in the world. Bohemian Grove has hosted Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, Alan Greenspan, and executives from every major bank, defense contractor, and media company in the United States. No women are permitted. No press is permitted. No recordings are permitted. The gathering opens with a ceremony called the Cremation of Care, in which members dressed in robes carry a boat containing a symbolic human effigy to the base of a 40-foot concrete owl and burn it in a theatrical ritual meant to represent the burning away of worldly concerns for the duration of the gathering. In 2000, journalist Alex Jones infiltrated the grove and filmed a portion of the ceremony. The footage was real. What happens beyond the ceremony in those 2 weeks has never been publicly confirmed. The Bilderberg Group. Since 1954, a group of 130 to 150 people described only as key decision makers has gathered annually at a rotating hotel location for 3 days of closed-door discussion. The Bilderberg Group's attendees have included heads of state, prime ministers, the heads of NATO and the IMF, the CEOs of major banks, the owners of major newspapers, and the directors of intelligence agencies. There are no minutes published. There is no press access. Attendees sign non-disclosure agreements and are transported via private security. The organization publishes a general list of discussion topics after each meeting, but what is actually said in those rooms by those specific people has never been officially disclosed. The group acknowledges it exists. It does not acknowledge having any influence over the decisions made by the people who attend it. What those 130 to 150 people walk out of that hotel believing and planning, only they know. The Thule Society. In post-World War I Munich, a group of German nationalists and occultists formed a secret society built around a belief that the Germanic people were the descendants of an ancient Aryan master race, originating from a lost Arctic civilization they called Thule. The society combined mystical ritual with virulent ethnic nationalism, attracting professors, military officers, and wealthy industrialists who believed Germany's defeat in the war was the result of internal betrayal rather than military failure. In 1919, the German army dispatched a young intelligence operative named Adolf Hitler to infiltrate a political group connected to the Thule Society and report back on whether it posed a threat. He attended, he did not report back, he joined. The Thule Society's members went on to found the German Workers' Party, which Hitler transformed into the National Socialist German Workers' Party. The swastika, the mythology of the Aryan master race, and the ideological foundation of everything the Nazi Party stood for were not invented by Hitler. They were handed to him already assembled inside a secret society meeting in Munich in 1919. Opus Dei, founded in Madrid in 1928 by a Spanish Catholic priest named José María Escrivá, Opus Dei is a personal prelature of the Catholic Church with approximately 90,000 members worldwide, operating under a mission of helping ordinary Catholics find holiness through their everyday professional work. The public-facing version of Opus Dei is a network of universities, educational centers, and professional associations. The version that exists inside its numerary class, the roughly 30% of members who live in Opus Dei centers and commit to celibacy and full-time devotion to the organization, is considerably more specific. Numeraries are expected to practice corporal mortification. This includes wearing a spiked metal chain called a cilice strapped around the upper thigh for 2 hours each day and using a small knotted whip called a discipline on their own backs once a week. Former members have described having their personal communications monitored by their center directors, being discouraged from contact with family members who are not in the organization, and being told which career paths they were permitted to pursue. Escrivá was canonized as a saint by Pope John Paul II in 2002. The organization has offices in 69 countries and operates some of the most prestigious Catholic universities in the world. The Black Hand. The Black Hand was a Serbian nationalist secret society founded in Belgrade in 1901, formerly named Unification or Death, committed to the violent liberation and unification of all South Slavic peoples under Serbian leadership. Membership required a sworn oath of secrecy and unconditional obedience to orders, enforced under penalty of death. Members were military officers, politicians, and government officials who believed the means to Serbian nationhood was assassination. On June 28, 1914, a 19-year-old Black Hand operative named Gavrilo Princip shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife Sophie in Sarajevo. The assassination triggered the Mutual Defense Treaty obligations that pulled Austria-Hungary, Germany, Russia, France, and Britain into conflict within 37 days. 17 million people died in the war that followed. The entire catastrophe traces back to a secret society oath taken in Belgrade 13 years earlier. The Order of the Solar Temple. The Ordre du Temple Solaire was a secret society founded in Geneva in 1984 by Joseph Di Mambro and Luc Jouret, blending Knights Templar mythology with New Age cosmic belief and apocalyptic prophecy. Members were told that the society was the continuation of the original Templars and that its leadership held the secrets of higher cosmic existence. Di Mambro convinced followers that death was not an ending, but a transition to a higher plane of existence on the star Sirius. In October 1994, 53 members were found dead across locations in Switzerland and Canada in a coordinated series of murders and ritual suicides. Among the dead was a 3-month-old infant named Christopher Emmanuel Dutoit, who had been stabbed through the heart with a wooden stake. Dimambro had declared the child the Antichrist. 2 additional mass deaths followed. 5 more members died in December 1995 and 5 more in March 1997. 74 people in total. Dimambro died in the 1994 events. The written manifesto he left behind described the deaths as a necessary transit to a higher world and expressed disappointment that the world had not yet understood what the society had accomplished. The Order of Nine Angles. The Order of Nine Angles, known as O9A, is a satanic and neo-Nazi network that originated in the United Kingdom sometime in the 1960s and now operates in autonomous cells across Europe, the United States, Russia, South Africa, Brazil, and Australia. It has no central leadership, no official headquarters, and no membership roles. What it has is a substantial body of written doctrine that circulates freely online and instructs readers on how to advance spiritually through what it calls the sevenfold way, a path that includes committing violent crimes, infiltrating extremist groups including jihadist organizations, and performing human sacrifice. The FBI designated O9A as a domestic terrorism concern. European intelligence agencies have connected it to murders, plots, and radicalization pipelines. Multiple individuals arrested for terrorism in the UK and United States have been found in possession of O9A materials. There are no meetings to raid and no leaders to arrest. The organization persists entirely through texts that keep spreading, and the cells that form around them operate in complete isolation from one another. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.